Hey guys, Ronnie here. This week's episode is brought to you by NelsieSpencer.com. Everything Nelsie Spencer and Losing It is on NelsieSpencer.com. There you can find links to Nelsie's book, movie, and classes. Take Nelsie's writing classes or get one-on-one coaching and sharpen your writing skills. Take classes like screenwriting class and novel writing first draft. If you'd like to support the show, grab a couple things at the Losing It merch store where we have mugs, t-shirts, hoodies, hats like this one, the one I'm wearing, and much more. If you're watching this on YouTube, check out links to NelsieSpencer.com and other things such as the links to our equipment we use and all our social handles in the description down below. And if you want to contact us, tell us you love us, hate us, want to tell us you're losing a story and possibly have Nelsie read it on the show, email us at losingitcontact@gmail.com.
Losing it, losing it, losing it, losing it, losing it, losing it, losing it. If you got a story, we don't care if it's happy or gory, so come share your losing it story with us. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Losing It with me, Nelsie Spencer, the podcast where guests come on and tell a story with a losing it theme. Ronnie, hello, my darling. How are you?
Hello. I feel a change coming.
I feel a change coming. It's coming down the track. I think that might be a Johnny Cash lyric.
Oh no, that is Johnny Cash.
Johnny Cash and Bob Dylan, probably both,
yeah.
right?
Rolling down the bit, yeah.
Yeah, feel a change coming. Right. Okay. All right.
Folsom Prison Blues. I think that is.
Thank you. God, I love you have a very deep library of songs that you know. You knew the Tighten Up. You knew that the Tighten Up was by
Archie Bell and the Drells. Yeah.
And the Drells. Come on. I couldn't even pull that out of my hat.
Yeah, I don't know. There's some stuff that have just been ingrained in my head. I just know it. Yeah. So
yeah. Well, you do have a change coming.
Mm-hmm.
You're moving.
Yeah. The next episode,
leaving
I will be
the country.
Yes. The next episode, I'll be in a different country, a different background with a haircut.
You getting the haircut?
Yes, I'm going to see my guy Ned. I haven't seen him in almost 2 years now. Hope he's doing well.
If Ned ever dies, you're never going to get your haircut. Is that how it is? Like you only let Ned cut your hair?
I've let other people cut my hair, but it's never the same. And
it's never the same.
It's just Ned just knows. I just have to go there, sit down. He's like, "Do you want this one or the other one?" And I'm like, "I feel like this one this time." You know, so. And he's great.
A
or
B. Mm-hmm. A or B. Fantastic. Yeah. The next time we record a podcast, you will be 12 hours ahead of my time zone.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Right? You'll be in tomorrow, basically.
Exactly. Yeah. I'll be advanced in time.
Yeah. Yeah. You'll know the future because you'll be living in it.
Mm-hmm. I probably won't do much with it.
Come on. You got to save us, Ronnie. You're a whole 12 hours ahead of time. Why hasn't anybody made that movie? All in the Philippines. Ronnie.
I think it's more of a scene than a movie.
Yeah, you're
the
probably
whole
right.
movie.
Yeah, probably right. Probably right. Yeah. So how are you feeling? You feeling organized? I know this whole Delta variant has. Oh yeah, you're not feeling organized. Talk to me.
No, it's just like.
For those of you who aren't watching on YouTube, Ronnie went no, like a cartoon fear face.
No, not at all. You know, it's so crazy because like I built this computer while I was here, and I'm only bringing 2 bags and a carry-on, 2 checked in and 1 carry-on, on the way back, and I realized I've accumulated stuff. I didn't even realize I did. You know what I mean? It's just kind of weird. And I have to bring this computer, which is the size of a, computer. It's not a laptop. I got to bring that. I got to bring these monitors. So I'm just like getting rid of a bunch of my stuff because I care more about the computer than anything else.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Because you built them, you chose them. It's not like you can get a new pair of pants.
Oh yeah,
you know
exactly.
What I mean? Yeah,
exactly.
It's like, oh, I'll never be able to replace those khakis from the Gap. Yeah, you will.
Yeah.
Yeah, you will.
There's a billion out there. So
exactly. Too many. Too many.
It's kind of funny how like I've realized like because I found this like podcasting thing and content creation, like a lot of my priority list has become more clear. You know? Yeah. We're like
what to keep, what not to keep.
Exactly. Like before I would try to like figure out, maybe I pay an extra, I don't know, a couple $100 to get another bag, buy another bag, and whatever, right? And like bring all the stuff. But now I'm like, oh, I don't really care about all that stuff. And I care more about the thing that drives this little engine that, hopefully becomes a bigger engine. So it's just interesting, perspective wise.
It is really interesting. And it's good for me to hear you say that. Because my husband and I were having a similar conversation yesterday about like, are we moving to Florida? Are we moving to Los Angeles? Are we doing it now? Are we waiting a few more months? What's it going to cost? How do we get rid of all our stuff? Like my husband looks at me, he's like, we have so much stuff. And we do. Like we've got 30 fucking years. We have more stuff. We've accumulated more stuff than you've been on the planet, than time you've been on the planet. I mean, and we have not one attic space, but two different attic spaces, attic spaces with boxes of stuff we haven't even opened. And we've lived here 3 years. So do we need any of that? Yeah. Do we need any of that stuff that's up there?
I know. Not. I know, right? I want to be able to shed stuff every year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and for good causes, like, charity or like recycling, then it's just better. It's literally and like, metaphorically a load off.
Absolutely. I have had 2 bags of clothes in my trunk for, 6 months that I keep meaning to take to the Goodwill. And I was at Rite Aid today buying my new lipstick. I know it's gorgeous. Thank you, Ronnie. And I saw that it had one of those clothing drop-offs. And I took those 2 bags out of my trunk and dropped them off. I heard angels singing. It was like, it felt so good. It was like, it felt so good. And that was 2 bags.
Yeah. I have like 4 trash bags.
Like the big ones, like the big black ones?
Yeah, of clothes.
Oh my God. I know. It's like, Ronnie.
Yeah. Well, I did work at a fashion company, but I only like stole a couple shirts every now and then. It's not like, plus I was selling them and making money. Yeah.
You should see how much clothes my son has. Like every day there is a pile of laundry in our laundry room. And I am not even exaggerating. That's 2.5 feet tall. And the diameter is about 2.5 feet. And it's like, what are these clothes? What?
Yeah.
He has like 3 times more clothes than I do. And what does he wear? He wears like t-shirts and, jeans. But I do want to talk about something that is kind of exciting that's happening right here on the Nelsie and Ronnie network. I just made that up.
Yeah.
Where if you guys have been listening to Therapy Thursday, which I hope you have, we've renamed it. We'll renamed it a couple of times, but we've landed on What If Nothing's Wrong? The What If Nothing's Wrong podcast, right?
Yes.
And it's no longer going to be underneath our feed, the Losing It feed. It's going to have its own deal. What's the term? What's the verb? What's the noun I should use for that, Ronnie?
I'd say channels. It's its own channels. It's got its own channels.
Yeah. So it's going to have a YouTube channel. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on all the social networks. And it's been out on Thursdays, but now it's under its own channel, which is What If Nothing's Wrong podcast.
Yes. It's on all podcasting platforms.
Yeah, you can. Yes, you can listen everywhere. You can watch us on YouTube. It's me and Ronnie and Heidi Haddad, who's a social worker and a friend, and it's really fun. And it's very funny.
The Twitter. We do the weekly Twitters.
We do last night tweets on Twitter. Sometimes we play games. We sometimes I bring up a problem. Sometimes we look at things on TikTok and simply go why. Yeah. And we answer the question, what if nothing's wrong? So check us out, guys, and rate and review and tell your friends. And now it's time for this week's guest. She is a returning guest and like a returning champion. She hit it out of the ballpark first time around. Was episode 6 way back when, before Ronnie and before YouTube. And she's a former writing student of mine. She took my humor writing class. She's a wonderful writer. She's really funny. And she's got another losing it story. And her name is Raquelle Garcete. Check her out. So guys, here we are with another amazing guest and somebody that I know personally and someone I adore. Oftentimes I have guests on here I don't know, and by the end of it, I usually adore them. But I'm so excited to have Raquelle Garcete here. She is a former student of mine, funny, smart, and she is an aspiring comedy writer. And how the heck are you, honey?
I'm doing really well. This is my summer of regression in a way. I just moved back from LA end of May. I was in LA for the past a little over a year. And now I am back at my mom's house for the summer. So that's been very interesting. It's like constantly having a doorman who wants to know every part of your life when you haven't had a doorman in like 10, 12 years. So that's new.
I love that you're likening your mother to a doorman, right? So you just pass her as you go in and out. Maybe she has a package for you.
But the doorman, there's this term in Spanish called like, oh, you're like a portero, because like portero means doorman. And it's like, they want to know, they know all the gossip. They know everything going on. They have to know everything. So that's like my mom. And I want to be like, listen, I'm 31. You don't need to know everything, So
I know. My son's the same way. He's 25. And because of the pandemic and a bunch of other things, he's still living with us. And sometimes I'll go like, so honey, what'd you do? Did you have a nice time? Mom, I don't have to tell you everything. I'm like, oh, geez, sorry. I just was like, I'm making conversation, just making conversation.
Lifted from a page of my life. So I get it.
So when was how old were you the last time you lived at home?
Oh my God. I was like the first half of my 23rd year of existence. Cause I was saving money to go to Spain. So the last time I was home was like September when I was 23, and off I went. I never looked back until now.
Wow. I think that's fantastic. Good for you. Good for you.
Thanks.
And so did you go to Spain for something specific? Like, was it one of those, years abroad, or I guess if you were 23, maybe not. But
I was going to teach. I actually ended up teaching children English on a very remote farm heavy area of northern Spain, close to Salamanca, which is like a beautiful little university city. And
so you weren't like going to clubs in Barcelona.
I did that study abroad. I was fortunate enough to study abroad in college. And then after college, I ended up staying for like almost a year in northern Spain. And I didn't live on the farm, mind you. I didn't live on the farm. I just did the hour commute from Salamanca with 4 or 5 other crazy, zany Spanish teachers who, I don't know.
Were they all American? They
were all from Spain. They were all from the area, and it was so authentic. And I don't know if you've ever had like Spanish coffee. It's like crack. And so literally it was like high octane, 6 a.m, like super fast Spanish. And I'm in the back, just so overwhelmed, just like looking at all of
You're
the
23.
farm.
You're like,
I'm like, oh my God, it's so early for all of these like false cognitives I'm trying to like translate in my mind. It was a lot. It was a lot. It was amazing.
6 a.m. and you're translating a false cognitive, correct?
Yeah, basically. Or I'm trying to be like, that's a false cognitive. How do I respond? What tense? All at 6 o'clock in the morning. It's a lot. I was so grateful.
Wow. So that's a whole other story, which
that's
I'm
a whole other bag
very
of chips.
excited to. So, but then, okay, so you go to LA.
I go to LA.
How long are you out there when the pandemic hits?
I had the ripe fortune of going to LA literally almost to the day, a month before lockdown. I think I got there February 20th, and LA really closed, I think, March 17th, March 18th-ish.
Wow.
So I had a month of like fancy free. LA, being out in the wild, seeing all the plastic surgery, not without a mask over
Being out in
it.
the wild, where you can see a lot of fake boobs in their natural habitat.
Yes.
Right?
I have to say though, I was so disappointed the first time I went to LA. I only saw a few really amazing, botched 1987 facelifts. I wanted to see so many more, but they're so good out there. I was like, damn it, you really got to look. But
see,
I don't know.
And those are the people you want to say, okay, have you had work done?
yes,
if you have to, and then say where, who did it? Because I can't tell. You just look great. Those are the people. Yeah, you want to talk
source it.
So it's funny. I follow you on Instagram, of course, and you are off. It's with Racquel. I feel like it's oftentimes it's fun with girlfriends. It's food. It's drinking.
Yeah,
and LA is it's a foodie town. There's great food to have out there.
They have amazing food and their best food, in my opinion. So my favorite Thai spot I ended up finding there. Love the way they spell it too. The name of the place is called Love to Eat Thai. But it's spelled LUV 2 Thai, like a bad 1999 screen name. It's the best. It's this abandoned shopping mall.
It's like the title of a Prince song, right?
yeah, exactly. And so the name like that's gotta be good. And it's phenomenal. So LA is very interesting, kind of similar to New York in a way that the best places are the holes in the wall and they're off the beaten path and just like New York.
Yes.
But yeah, some really great eats there.
Yeah, some great eats. And where in LA did you stay?
So I was living in mid-city. So I was 8 minutes from the Grove. So I was close to everything. I was so central to everything. Wasn't the most safe area, was it? No, it wasn't. But I feel like that
you can't have everything.
Can't have everything. I feel like it built my character. I really was, always aware, just like in New York too. So, but I was hyper aware there because, I was in foreign territory. It wasn't like the hood in New York where I was like, oh, I'm fine here. But then the hood in LA is different where I'm like, oh, I'm not fine here in broad daylight.
I lived in New York for 30 years and was never mugged. I was in LA doing my play, My Heart Belongs to Daddy, in 1990 and got held up at gunpoint. Sitting outside. I'd just done my play with my best friend and co-actor and co-writer, Laury Marker. My dad had come to see the show. A couple other friends were chatting. The sun's going down, so maybe we should have been a little more aware.
Right.
Everybody that left the theater, then suddenly it's just us. We hear pop, pop, and 3 guys come around the corner with shotguns.
Oh my God.
And I swear to God, dressed like Cosby kids, these sweaters, like a Bill Cosby sweater. Guys, did you just take a wrong turn at a sitcom audition? What the hell's going on?
Are these fucking extras and get held up by extras in LA? It's the most LA thing I've ever heard in my life.
Right, exactly.
Oh my God. Passing you their headshots as they're firing off. That's something they would do. They're so
you
thirsty.
wrote this play? Here, take my headshot.
Oh my God.
And give me your watch. Yeah. So, right, because I think it's easier in LA sometimes to not know that you're in a bad neighborhood. I feel like in New York, when you're in a bad neighborhood.
No, you're so right. You're so right. You do one wrong turn and you're like, okay, so I guess that it's okay that these people have marble lion statues in front of their house, but it doesn't mean it's nice. Like in New York, if you're in a certain part of Brooklyn and you're like, oh, that's obviously mafia money. But in LA, it just means it could be shadier money. I don't know.
Shadier. Yeah.
I don't know.
So, oh my gosh. So even though it was the pandemic, what was it like? What was the whole LA thing like?
I really enjoyed it. I really, really did. But I definitely think I was gypped in many ways.
You were gypped, honey.
Just like anybody else who moved to a new city before the pandemic. And, I really got to know the area, I will say, because there was way less traffic. So that was kind of a silver lining.
Yeah.
Not that there was many silver linings, but in terms of being in a new area, I ended up,
nobody's out driving. So you're like, oh, look at this. The 101 is empty.
Yeah, literally, honestly, I have to say I maybe experienced true LA traffic maybe 3 times, possibly 3 times, which is, I'm so fortunate to have had that, small gift.
Small gift. So now you're back now. So you're in Long Island. Is this like your childhood home? Are you like sleeping in your old twin bed?
So it's from when I was 16. So it's a little elevated in taste. So my room is teal. Okay. So, that just shows you my level of mature taste in home decor at that age. I now hate the color teal. Because it's so saturated.
It's a bold choice for a wall color. It's a bold choice.
It's a bold choice. But it's been great in so many ways. I will say that I'm so grateful. I'm super fortunate. I'm fully aware. But at the same time, I'm like, oh my God, I just want to go like to my own apartment, my own space like I used to, and just like eat pizza in my underwear with Chianti at 12 o'clock on a Saturday if I want. No one's going to judge me.
If you want, exactly, because you're an adult woman.
Exactly.
You don't need the doorman / mom going, where are you going? What are you doing? It's 12 o'clock on a Saturday. Why are you drinking Chianti? What did you have for breakfast? Did you exercise today?
Chianti.
Oh,
you get
God.
it.
Yeah.
But,
and the thing is, I can empathize for both sides, right?
Yes.
Like a part of me is feeling slightly claustrophobic just thinking about it. And then another part of me is like, understands your mom is just like, it's so, you're home. Like she's so excited that you're home. Am I right? Am I right?
You nailed it on that. Hit the nail on the head.
Right?
Precisely. Exactly.
Yeah. Oh my God. That is great. So is there a plan afoot?
So currently I am in a sort of limbo. I've been applying to jobs in New York and LA because come like October, I want to make a finite move, whether it's back to Brooklyn or back to LA. Those are the only two options for me. I'm still looking. I want to get my foot in the door. Either as an executive assistant, personal assistant, or at a talent management agency, because there's so many ways to skin a cat, to get into the industry. I eventually want to be a TV writer on a scripted series. Then you make your way producer, showrunner. Yeah, you know the deal. You're familiar.
I do, honey. And listen to me. Go to LA.
Yeah.
I think you got to go to LA.
I think
so many more scripted series.
There's so much.
Did you? Okay. All right. Pandemic aside.
Right.
When you were out there, did you think I could live here? Did you think I like it? I could live here? Or did you think, because look, you're an East Coast person, right?
Yes.
So it's very easy because I back in the day, I had lots of friends somewhere in like the late 80s, early 90s. I know I'm so old. A lot of my friends made their way out to LA, and invariably New Yorkers, it takes them about 3 to 5 years to like LA. You know what I mean? Because it's but some people go there and just go, I dig it. You know what I mean? I'm from there and I love LA. People love to hate it. Like, of course, traffic is a drag and it's a one industry town, which can be great and can be a nightmare.
Right.
But, it's California.
Yeah.
It's the beach. It's the mountains. It's the desert. It's, so when you were out there, did you think I could live here?
I did.
Okay.
I really loved it. There was a lot that I missed from New York. And I also didn't realize, again, I would be there for like 5-month stretches. And then when I came home, I'd forget kind of how much I loved home too, until I got back home. And I was like, wow, it's so great in New York too. So I really, truly feel like a woman torn at the moment because there was so many, but this is another aside, but there was a lot of not so great things. Obviously this past year, like me, for everybody else, I'm not unique in my plight with this, but I didn't realize, I guess, till I got back home that there was I guess I was still processing a lot of the traumatic stuff that happened in LA while I was there till I got back home and I was away from it. And I was like, oh, wow. Yeah. That random fender bender I got into right after these 5 other terrible events happened was a really shitty day, week, month. There was so much more. That was just one example of one minor inconvenience. But, and so processing it, I was like, wow, yeah, that was a really shitty kind of sequence of events. And now that I'm reflecting on it, of course I want to go back and everything depends on the job opportunity. At the end of the day, whether it's in New York or whether it's LA, it's got to be the job opportunity. So that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm keeping in mind. And so I'm like, whatever's meant to happen is going to happen. And I'm just going to know when it pops up. And in the meantime, I'll just enjoy my mom's cooking, doing my laundry and, washing, just, I'll just, keep having at it over here.
Oh my God. And is your mom the type that like, wants you to join her, like sit down and like, I know Jeopardy's not on anymore because Alec Trebek died. But my mom was like, sweetheart, I put the vegetarian lasagna in the oven, which by the way, Stouffer's. Like my mom was not a great cook. Okay. Your mom's Cuban, yes?
No. My mom is just from New York. She's like a random European smattering. She's New York, that's it.
But she can cook.
She's great at cooking. She's a phenomenal cook.
Not my mother. She's a wasp. They don't know how to cook. But she wants to hang out with me at night.
Yeah.
Like, is your mom like that too?
Yes. And I'm an only child. So you can imagine
honey.
That is just extrapolated. I feel very desired, but I'm like, I need boundaries. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yes, it is. It's a lot. So you've had a hell of a year and a half, really.
I really have.
Wow.
I really, really have. Yes.
Yeah.
To put it lightly.
Oh my God. So, but you're working now.
I am. So as of right now, I have 2 jobs. I work in customer service across the board, you could say. So I do a kind of a concierge position at a private beach club in a very, very swanky area. And then
What area?
West Hampton on Dune Road.
Oh,
so
yes.
I never realized this till the summer, but there are like 7 to 10, probably 7 to 10 different beach clubs on Dune Road. So they're all in competition with each other.
Which one's the most annoying? Which one's the snootiest?
The one that I work at, actually. And then I moonlight as a server at this restaurant in East Hampton. So that's been nice, because in a different way. And also, what else I didn't realize was being thrust back into getting to be more normal post-COVID is the exhaustion you exert from just engaging in big throngs of people. I'm exhausted. My bounce back rate used to be like half of what I'm doing now. I'm like, oh my goodness. Like,
yeah, right. Because suddenly you're having to be in these environments where, especially if you're being a server, and at the beach club, both of those, it's like a lot of personalities, a lot of, yeah. Oh my Lord.
It's been such good people watching though, which I love. I'm like, oh wow, yes,
love it so much.
Good. So good.
Love it so much. So is the restaurant where you're on the where you're a wait person? Is it high end?
Not too high end. But we get a lot of high end clientele. Oh yeah, which is always exciting.
Honey, you are gathering material.
Exactly.
You are just gathering material.
Too much material, honestly. It's overwhelming, really.
I don't know. This is just how my brain works, because it was like I interviewed this lovely, very funny comic yesterday, Aubrey Sweeney. And she's telling me her life. I'm like, I think that's a sitcom. And this is feeling like a sitcom too, because back at home at the fancy club, in West Hampton, it's like, it's so many guest spots,
So many guest spots, so many cameos. I will say this, not a lot of characters you'd want as, supporting reemerging ones. You're like, all right, one cameo from you is enough. And then we're going for the season. A lot of good one-offs. Sorry.
We'll just bring you in because you're a bit of a nightmare. And there's a lot of comic fodder there. We won't mention any names. Yes. Oh my God. Wow. Well, I hear you and I feel you with this whole, like, got to make a decision. But it also sounds like you're like, it's all about the job. It's all about the job. I'm leaning towards LA for you because I think there is actually a lot more comedy TV out there. There's a lot more TV out there. There's much more in New York than there used to be, but I feel like it's a higher chance of there's more jobs. There's more jobs. And you kind of didn't really get your shot when you went before.
I didn't get to even start to get my foot off the ground over there. I really didn't. You're so right.
You got to have coffee with my daughter.
I have to. Yes.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
She's in the business of show. So,
that'd be fantastic.
She's great and, is really nice and, just knows people, you know what I mean?
Of course. And she's your daughter. So of course she's going to be like amazing. Duh.
I think she's amazing. And I probably talk about her way too much on this podcast. But she's great. So I'm just leaning, not that you asked my opinion. So I'm so excited that you came on and we get to chat and I get to hear a losing it story. What have you got for me?
Well, do I have a doozy for you?
I knew you would.
So where do I start? Basically, I ended up taking a job I applied for off of Indeed. You do the blind application process. And I ended up getting hired for a part-time position at a small fledgling production company.
And this was in LA when you were in LA?
When I was in LA. And by the way, all names are being changed. So none of these are
to protect the guilty. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yes.
And oh boy, are they a guilty party. So I should have known something was off when my first Zoom interview was with the founder and co-founder. The founder, who is a 25-year-old Australian girl, we'll call her London. Okay.
And
I like her
it.
life partner she met in Bali the year before, Andrew, we'll call him Andrew, who was a former basketball player. Now he was an aspiring rapper. And he also definitely thought himself as a motivational speaker, because always on his Instagram, he was always motivating his audience and was very into fitness. It was a lot going on.
Oh my goodness. I think this might be your sitcom, Racquel. I think this might be.
This is all
Adventures in LA. Adventures in LA, baby.
The tip of the iceberg. So in the first interview, they were very much vibes, frequency, higher conscience. We want to make content that's about positivity in the world. And me, no one's hiring. It's COVID. I just moved to LA. I'm in a new place. I was like, sure, I'll take it. Yes, let's do it. So I'm thinking I'm going to do this position for a few months. I'll still keep looking. I'll make money in the meantime. I'm not taking this too serious. I'm like, thank goodness I'm offered an opportunity. I'm grateful, but I'll take this for what it is and keep, an eye out. So through this experience, I was also fortunate to meet one of my favorite people that I ended up meeting out there, who I, dubbed as like my fairy gay father. We're going to call him Ron, who actually used to be a go-go dancer in the Village. So maybe you knew him back in the day in the 70s. Now lives with his husband.
I didn't get to the Village till the 80s. So if he was still there, then maybe, but yeah.
I forget. I'll have to ask him. But so one of my favorite early memories, and probably just, again, one of the first dozen red flags that would emerge as the legitimacy of this company. I remember I was, we don't know from earthquakes in New York. I've never experienced a friggin' earthquake, right? So I'm there and I'm on Zoom and we're on a Zoom meeting. Mind you, I also need to mention this. London, the main co-founder, the 25-year-old Australian vibe princess, is still in Australia at this point. So she's running the company remotely. She didn't end up coming to the States till September, and it was May.
Okay.
So just keep that in mind. So we're in this Zoom interview. There's like 5 of us on the call. And Ron, my fairy gay father, Andrew, mind you, is very attractive, mid-20s male, right? And Ron followed him on Instagram. And so we're on the call and we all have our cameras on except for Andrew. His is off, but he's like talking, or he's not really giving input, but he's listening. So I'm sitting at my kitchen table and we're all on Zoom. And in my setup, there was a bar cart on the far left of my living room and obviously had all the bottles of alcohol. And so we're talking about like, I think show concept ideas, because London wanted to pitch some shows she had connects at networks. And that's the other thing. She first came off as if she already had these pre-existing relationships with these Hive people. And she sold it again to the untrained eye. She was selling it as if she knew these people had these connects, had these fostered these relationships that were already there. Right. And legitimate. So as we're in the interview and in the meeting, we're all talking, we're like we've covered some ideas and whatever, some tasks at hand. And towards the end, Ron was like, Andrew, we haven't seen your beautiful face on the Zoom. Why don't you show us? Why don't you turn your camera on? And so Andrew, who is a character, by the way, puts on his camera. He's like shirtless, okay? He's like, oh, you guys want to see me? And then he shows him, he was like working out or something like that in his apartment. And Ron was like, so nice to see your face. We love it. And then he's like, whatever. Ron's like flirting with Andrew. Right. And then all of a sudden, I look over and I don't feel anything, but I see the liquid in the bottle start shaking. Nothing else is shaking, but I see the liquid from the bar cart start shaking. And I'm like, all of a sudden I go, are we having an earthquake right now? And then you see everybody else on the Zoom call be like, wait a minute, what? Huh? Whatever, what's going on? So we're like laughing. We're like looking around. We're like, oh my God, what's going on? And then like 30 seconds later, before you know it, Andrew is in a robe. He had just washed his face. And he was like, gave us some very ambiguous sports quote. He was like, all right, guys, let's do this. We're going to take this to the hoop. Go team. Let's get those rings. Because he never really did anything or said anything of substance. And he was like our hype man. And then that was the end of the call. And I was like, what the hell did I just sit through? What is this company? What's going on?
But they hired you.
But they hired me. So I was like, hey, okay. But, maybe I should have really applied the adage. What is it? I don't want to be part of any club that would allow me to be a member. In this instance, pretty applicable. So apart from that, as we were going on and setting up shoots and, securing locations for these small shoots that were instructional in nature. So they, London and her best friend, who also went on this Bali life-changing retreat, we're going to call her Sheena. Okay. London and Sheena had this grand idea to make a more accessible masterclass and to have these sort of more affordable, short videos across different disciplines, whether that was music, dance, different kinds of dance, singing, and I forget, but like the arts. I was like, okay, good idea in theory, whatever. I'm just here to be a production assistant. Let's do it, I'm
just here for the paycheck.
Exactly.
You tell me to do it, I'll do it.
Exactly.
There's a pandemic and we'll do it. And
we're happy to be here,
Yeah, happy to be here.
And so mind you, London is still running or orchestrating all of this from Australia. So while we're over here figuring out locations and getting in touch with these vendors, we're doing all the legwork. What London did with her days, I'm still unsure of. Because whenever we would Zoom with her, she'd be in a different cafe or she'd be in a different hotel. She was in very beautiful parts of Australia, hotel hopping, basically. Okay. One of my favorite moments from London was when she told us she was camping out at a certain cafe because she loved Zac Efron and really wanted to see him. And she was basically went to the same cafe 3 days in a row, like trying to scope him out like a little 14-year-old. But the best part was when we're on a Zoom with her and she's in one of her many hotel rooms. Okay.
And do you know where any of this money came from? Who's bankrolling it?
Ended up finding out a little later, but we'll get to that. Also, I failed to mention, she also had her mother as a member of the team. She hired her as part of the company as creative director. And I'll just put it to you this way. Her mother, in her bio, self-published a book, and her byline, I guess you would say, said, soon to be best-selling author. So, if that tells you how in tune they were with reality, if that doesn't, I don't know what does.
Wow.
But also, we should all be that aspirational. But anyway, that's just my opinion.
Or delusional.
Aspirational, delusional, you tell me. So then, while this was going on, London, bleep that out. London was in her hotel room and she kept like looking back and we were like, what's going on? She's like, hold on. And she like, again, to this day, we don't know if this really happened. She was like, I keep getting this call from this number and this guy's asking like, London, is that you, London? And she's like, it's so weird to think I'm on a level on social media, like on Instagram, that I can't geotag my location. Like she couldn't put where she was in what hotel she was in because someone was trying to stalk her.
Because she's so popular.
And I just remember it was so hard keeping a straight face when you had to keep your camera on for these Zoom calls because me and my fairy gay father, Ron, and then our other grounded, normal coworker who ended up being an angel too, let's call her Angela, we would have these side chats where we'd be like, what the fuck just happened? What was that? So
did you guys actually create content along the way?
So yes, surprisingly, yes.
Wow. I'm impressed.
Not much of it. And also all of the shoots we did were uninsured. Okay. Not only that, towards halfway through the shoots, London would try to secure the locations and only get away with paying 1 or 2 days and not paying the full amount and claiming she would pay at a later date. And so obviously these red flags are popping up left and right? And kind of in a binary path, our payments were getting later and later and later.
Oh, I just was waiting for that. So
initially a week late, second or third paycheck, 2 weeks late, 4 weeks late, 6 weeks late. And all along the way, mind you, we're like a 10-person company, but we're also contracting out these crew, this staff, these vendors, these locations. So there's a lot of other people involved in this web.
Yeah.
And Ron, fairy gay father Ron, was the one that was, putting his name on the line, helping because he had many years in the industry and he was
what was his title?
Producer.
What was his
title?
So
he's an independent producer. So he was freelance. He started doing his own thing. He used to work with big studios, but now went off and do his own thing, wanted to do more meaningful work and work in the documentary space and stuff. And he's doing great things. I love him. We're still in touch now. Same with me and Angela. And Sheena, mind you, Sheena's London's best friend. And she was the COO, handled the more business stuff and the metrics from this part of the world. Whereas London was gallivanting all over.
Yeah, she was just in charge of going to different hotels. That was her job.
Basically. Yeah. Yes, precisely. And posting about vibes and full moons and everything. So we're going to fast forward. We're going to fast forward because I feel like this is a very imperative incident. So we're going to fast forward to when we started. So, as the payments were getting further and further apart because they were so late, we started asking London and Sheena, hey, what's the deal? And we were informed that because the payments are coming from Australia, that either PayPal or Venmo or wire transfers weren't working correctly. It was a different excuse every other day.
Oh man. And how much of you, what percentage of you, Racquel, is going, this is just bullshit?
I mean,
or are you still hoping against hope? Like
the first few times I was like fostering hope. And then after the third time I was like, this is absolutely ludicrous. What's going on?
Yeah.
And we received false wire transfer confirmations. I ended up getting a bounce check for almost $9,000 from the actual production company. And so then at that point, me and my other two sane colleagues, Angela and Ron, we were like, what is going on? What are we going to do? Every day we would talk on the phone. We'd be like, what are we going to do? How do we go about this? So mind you, while this was happening, Andrew, who was the co-founder, her life partner, and London, who were doing long distance relationship, who knows what the hell that was, ended up parting ways in July because of a scandal that we were not allowed to know. And then Sheena stepped in and took his place. Okay. And so when that happened in July, that's when things really went haywire. And London ended up getting granted a work visa to come over from Australia. So she came here in September. Okay. So once she came here in September, her and Sheena, okay, mind you, we're like 6 weeks, 8 weeks delinquent on our checks at this point.
Oh my God. Yeah. And you guys are all still working.
All still working. And they're
God.
We see them post on Instagram. They're at this restaurant. They're at that restaurant. They're shopping here. They're getting treatments here. They're scouting. They would go on scheduled trips to scout locations to do what, I don't know. And we're like, that's cool because we haven't gotten paid in weeks and weeks and weeks. So,
oh my God.
After a certain point, we're like, okay, well, something needs to be done. But not before. So we didn't say anything though. We were like, we knew better than to like tell them anything or threaten them with any course of action we could have taken. And the last straw, I think the very last straw before we decided that we were going to quit and really take action was, London had just gotten into town.
So did you end up meeting London in person?
I met London in person a few times, unfortunately. Unfortunately. I can never get that time back. It'll never get back to me. And the thing is too, I know this is petty, but an aside, in Australia, I think they're behind the times because she dressed like a backup dancer for like a Demi Lovato music video. And I was like, "What, girl, what are you doing? Stop that." It was very odd. She was a very odd bird. But anyway, that's besides the point. And she thought she was like very, like,
she thought she was all that. She thought she was everything.
It was very wild. I was like, who do you think you are? But anyway, so probably one of my favorite moments was when we all had to attend a mandatory Zoom moon ritual, even though we hadn't gotten paid in 8 weeks. I don't know if you know what a moon ritual is. A moon ritual is when you take your crystals and you have to bathe them in moonlight to cleanse them. And someone leads you, because naturally, and someone leads you in a guided meditation, and you do affirmations and all that jazz, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we had to sit there while London led this moon ritual with this like Enya playing in the background or something with her Himalayan crystal salt lamp, and she was like, abundance, manifest abundance. Meanwhile, me, Angela, and Ron, we're pretty drunk because we're like, we're not going to this thing sober. So we're drunk on the side text. We're like, manifest abundance, manifest our paychecks. What the hell is going on? It was like,
Did you say that? Did you say that or just think it?
Literally, it was like, read the room couldn't have applied more. These people had never read the room in their life. It was the most LA thing ever at the same time.
It's so LA. It's so LA. I'm just grateful that she's from Australia, only because then LA doesn't have to take full responsibility for how LA it is.
Exactly.
Because, LA is my hometown. So I feel a certain amount of protection towards her.
Of course.
But, oh my God, honey, it's like, it writes itself.
I didn't even need to use that much imagination. And the thing is, we're at a limited time slot, but there's so much more too. These are just some of the highlights from the highlight reel. But so long story short,
this is the sizzle reel. This is the sizzle of the fucking nightmare.
This is the sizzle. Okay. And I ended up quitting October 2nd, and I wrote a whole long email about how we were taken advantage of, and this was so not ethical and incorrect, and how dare they treat people this way, basically. And as it stands right now, I don't know how much I can divulge, but I did reach out to the state of California with the labor board, and there are many moves made against her from at least 30 plus people, because she owes hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to people. And she's still almost a year later, Nelsie, a year later, she's still in LA, and she still posts on TikTok. She does these dance videos. I'll send them to you. And she still posts that she's in different hotels, different rooms. She's apparently still in LA. And she's
like a complete scam artist. Like, she is someone that somebody would do a 10-part podcast series on.
Exactly.
Because they continue to just take advantage of people, scam people, steal, literally. I mean, she owes you thousands of dollars.
Yes, she does. Me and so many other people. And on top of this, she, shortly after everybody else followed suit and started taking things up with the state and trying to really rectify this matter, which still not rectified, spoiler alert, because there's just no money there. I'll never get that money. I'm never going to see that.
Right,
money.
because you're trying to get blood from a stone or from a turnip or whatever that expression is. She has no money. You're not even if the court said yes, even if you got to go to court and yes, you owe, what's she going to do?
Exactly.
Dance for you and pay you that way? What the heck?
So now I think my personal theory is that she's an escort and that's how she's still continuing to make money. Personally, that's just a theory. That's just a theory I'm trying on. But she ended up dissolving the LLC that the original company we were a part of. And she has like a few other different LLCs. And now she's claiming she has these 2 other new businesses that it's all shadows and smoke and mirrors. It's a bunch of nothing.
Oh my God.
It's wild. It's crazy.
So honey, I'm so sorry.
Thank
right?
you.
Like how shitty.
Especially on top of COVID and on top of it. And, after that experience, after I ended up quitting in October, I ended up making money in the interim because I wasn't getting unemployment. So I ended up getting money in the interim by doing Instacart, which is you shop for people's groceries. And through
my
doing
son
that,
and his girlfriend did Instacart.
Yeah. I ended up making an amount of money comparable to what I would have been getting on unemployment anyway. And I got to explore every part of LA, especially like the hills, all these gorgeous homes. And so in that way, that was a hidden blessing too. But definitely not the year I signed up for.
No.
I'll tell you that much.
No. What is that expression? While you're busy, God laughs while you're busy making plans, right?
Exactly.
And, like we all have this idea of what things are going to look like. And this was so different than what you expected.
You know what? I got to say, moon rituals, never in my original vision board. Moon rituals and dealing with an Australian felon. Never. I figured out, I want to call this episode, my mom helped me coin this term, the thug in Uggs.
Nice. That's because she's got the Uggs on, right? Yeah, we like it. We like it. Yeah. Oh my God. Well, that is a hell of a story. I'm so. And what's amazing is that you can laugh about it, and it is a really good story.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? It's like, that's the thing as a writer, that is the beauty of being a writer, that sometimes even when you're in the middle of it, you can go, this is going to be such a good story.
Oh, I have a Google Doc with all of this and more.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. Oh, God, fucking London. I hate her. And it just, that kind of stuff blows my mind because you're just like, whether it's Dirty John or there was a podcast that I listened to that was some Asian woman who was scanning people, and she would pose as an Asian man, and nobody ever met her, and she was getting people usually to some Asian country in the hopes that it was all show business stuff. They were putting this show business carrot out, and I listened to the 10-part podcasting series, and I don't think they ever caught. It was either a man posing as a woman or vice versa. They never caught them, whatever their gender was. And similar to what this one's doing.
Well, you know what's crazy? I told a few other people, obviously I told everybody I was there. But when I would tell people, and some other people that were in the business too, they're like, oh yeah, that happens here often. Oh yeah, it's not the first I've heard of that. And I was shocked. Wow. I was like, are you kidding me?
Wow.
What? So it was very eye-opening.
Yeah. And I think maybe part of the reason it happens more in more in LA than New York, because LA is Hollywood.
Yeah.
LA is fame.
Yeah.
New York is, fashion and Broadway, and, it's got a different, it's a little more grounded, I think, but you have wide-eyed people so desperate for whatever, not that you didn't do anything wrong okay, you looked back, there was some red flags, but you got hired for a job,
Exactly.
Oh my God. So so do you have any advice for someone who might be on a Zoom call that they're about to be hired, and they're like, Like, do you look back and think, oh, I should have followed my instincts? Or do you look back and go, I needed the job and it was a pandemic. Do you know what I mean?
I think if I could go back now, I mean, thankfully now I have all this rich material, but I think if I could go back now, I would have looked more elsewhere and gotten something, even if it was more of like a regular admin role, just like a receptionist at a random finance hedge fund or something. I would, if I knew what I knew now, I would do something just in the interim for a few months to get health insurance, to get a paycheck, instead of trying to jump straight in to my apparently supposed desirable industry in that way. I wish I could have told myself that now. I would have been like, listen, be a receptionist at a dental office, hold on to that job for 8 months, and then cut once jobs start opening up again. But
right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my goodness, honey. Well, I have to say that I'm so sorry all of that happened, but I am glad that you got to land back in your teal bedroom.
Thank you.
With, you know what I mean? You had somewhere to land, and that you're making money doing, surrounded by rich people in two different venues, and you're coming back. You're coming back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Precisely.
Oh,
thank you for letting me tell my torrid tale.
Oh my God. I just hope you fictionalize it and take advantage of that, because it's a good story. Like, in my mind, I'm like writing the pilot in my mind. Okay, honey. So do you have, that we end with 3 questions.
Yes.
And the first question is there something you hope to lose in the next year?
Something I hope to lose in the next year is, I hope to lose my fear of self-doubt in whatever my next position is. So fear of losing self-doubt.
Yeah. So you want to lose the self-doubt.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I do want to say to that, there's not a right or a wrong answer when it comes to New York or LA. There's just different choices that create different consequences or different results. It's not like one is right or one is the other. One is wrong. Just, my opinion. And we'll talk more about that. Okay. Something you hope to gain in the next year.
Something I hope to gain is employment at a legitimate agency or production company.
And nobody who works there is named after a European city.
Exactly. Yes.
And the person who hires me is more than 25.
Yes, coming in at number. I didn't know that she was that young until much later, to be honest.
Oh my goodness. Okay. And is there something you hope you never lose?
I hope I never lose my desire to create.
Yeah. Good. I love it. Oh, well, this was fantastic. It's great to see you, even though it's virtual, and I adore you. And
I love you too.
I love you so much. And we'll talk more about, specifics of things, But anyway, you're the best. And
thank you. You too.
And what I mean, not to be annoying, but I love your Instagram because it's always fun and entertaining. So how can people follow you?
Oh, so I am at _RG1990 because I don't want anybody to find me clearly. So I start with an underscore. That's my Instagram.
I'm always like, how do I find Racquel? Underscore RG1990. Okay. 1990. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. All right, sweetie. So great to hear from you. And I just am excited. I'm really excited about what's coming up for you.
Thank you.
I feel good about it.
Thank you. Me too. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. That was a hell of a story. Man, poor Racquel. Goes to LA, follow her dreams, fucking pandemic. Then she gets this job from basically sociopaths who are just like, oh, let's scam these people. That is horrible. But she's got a good story. It's a good story, right?
Content.
Right. Oh my Lord. That's just horrible. But I think we know what our letter is for next week.
Mm-hmm.
If you've been scammed. Guys, if you have a story where you were scammed, maybe you were scammed by a roommate, maybe you were scammed by a boss, maybe you were scammed by you put down money on an apartment and you go there and somebody's living there, whatever, right?
How many times has that happened?
I think it happens all the time, right?
I know for a fact, especially in New York. Because I live there, but it happens all the time. Yeah. Especially if you do it online. Don't ever do that.
Oh yeah. Look at this apartment. Here's your first, last, just send me your first, last and security and I'll meet you there with the keys. And you go there. Either the address is actually a laundromat. Right. The address is a McDonald's. Or you knock on the door and somebody comes to the door eating a chicken leg in their underpants. What are we going to do for you?
Have you ever been scammed?
I feel like I have, but I'm not. Nothing's coming up. How about you? I feel like in the recesses of my brain, I was scammed.
Yeah, I feel the same.
I was scammed. Oh, yeah. I remembered it. Okay. This was a time where I was I was not completely solvent, which is a huge understatement. Things were really bad financially, right? And I get a call. I'm like, yeah, this is New Jersey Natural Gas. And it was very slick because it was like, please hold for the message from New Jersey Natural Gas. Yeah, hi, your gas is about to be turned off and blah, 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 blah. Press this number. I'm like, what's going on? Oh, yeah, your gas is about... You're kidding me. What? And I thought my husband had paid. Blah, blah, blah. Well, what do I have to do? Well, we just need $500. Okay. All right. So fine. Can I give you a debit card? Yeah. So give him the debit card. $500 was complete bullshit.
Wow. How did you find out?
Because I went home because I'm on my way like to the grocery store. And, when somebody says we're about to pull your, it was the gas guy is outside your house about to turn your gas off. Right. So I'm like, my heart contracts and I'm thinking it could be happening because we've been sort of not doing so well. And
oh, that's interesting.
Right. And then I come home. I'm like, Doug, so I just saved the gas. We almost got turned on. So what are you talking about? He's like, I paid him 2 days ago. I'm like, fuck. And I called the police. I called the police. They're like, yeah, that happens all the time. Nothing
you can't
we can
really do anything about that. Yeah.
Nothing.
Oh my god.
Like, I've got the 800 number. And I even called them and I even called them back. And when I called them back, we're like, you've reached New Jersey Natural Gas. Press 1 to speak to a representative. Like, they were slick.
That was good. Yeah. That's like the little extra thing you need to like get real believable.
Yeah. So guys, scammers out there, just get that extra level. How about you? Did you remember a scam or not?
I don't know if this technically is a scam, but it's just stupid. But when I was in high school, there was this French guy who went to my school, and I was probably like in the 8th or 9th grade. And he was like grade older than me, and he smoked weed. And like, I was like trying to get weed. I was like, it's that curious thing. I'm like, oh, like, what is this? And he was like, I can get you weed. And I'm like, okay, sure. And he was like, all right, it's 1,000 pesos, which is like $20, right? For like a bag.
That's a lot of money for an 8th grader, right?
Oh yeah. That was like, yeah, exactly. A lot. And I was like, yeah, for sure. And so he was like, okay, meet me in the cafeteria after school. This is at lunch. Meet me in the cafeteria after school. I was like, all right. So I go to the cafeteria and he's talking to some people and he's like, he says to me, you want to go to the bathroom? And I was like, okay. He said it like real cool. Like, you want to go to the bathroom? I was like, okay. I guess it's code for I'll meet you in the bathroom. And so I go to the bathroom and he's in the stall. He gives me like this like Altoids box. And it's like, all right, here it is. And here the guy gave him the money. And I told my friend Charlie, I was like, oh, dude, I got weed, man. Like, we're golden, You're like,
so I am so cool. I have weed. Come on, let's go get high. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And we go to this place that people like smoked weed at after school, this couch at this abandoned house.
And because we only heard about it.
Oh, youth. A couch in an abandoned house.
It was a nice neighborhood. It was just, some houses aren't occupied all the time.
Yeah. It's
high school kids at the private school smoke weed there and shit. So
yeah, there you go.
So we went there. I opened the tin box and I knew it was just grass. It was just grass.
My God. What a
Yeah, it was just grass. I looked at it like, this just looks like grass. This is just grass
clippings.
But then it was so funny. Like, I think my friend Charlie was like, wanted it to be weed so bad. He was like, oh no, that's just what weed looks like. And like, he like rolled it up and smoked it. And I was like, no, I'm not going to smoke. Yeah, I'm not going to smoke that. I'm like, dude, what is that? And he was like, oh, I'm so high. And I was like, there's no way. Like, it's not even burning.
Yeah. My God.
I don't know if that is a scam, but I mean, like,
yeah, you got scammed.
Yeah.
You got scammed. And when you saw the guy, you couldn't say anything because he was older, and then you would look stupid. I mean, right?
No,
you
I
would
didn't.
look stupid. No.
Yeah, I didn't say anything. Actually, you know what? I actually bought weed from him again, but like real weed. I don't know. It was, you're a kid.
You're a kid. Oh my God. All right. So send us your scam stories, guys. At losingitcontact@gmail.com.
Yes.
We have a letter from last week.
We do have a letter.
Okay. And last week was Aubrey and her phobia about needles. So we asked for a phobia story. So let's see what we got here. Okay. Dear Nelsie, as a kid, I was afraid of heights and flying. Nothing extreme, probably pretty typical. When I was a teen, I did a lot of swimming and then did a lot of bridge jumping. What? So you've got, wow. You went from being afraid of heights to jumping off bridges. A lot of bridge jumping in the canal/rivers and cliff divings at quarries. Oh my God, I'm nervous just hearing that. I did it so often and had so much fun doing it that I'm not even remotely scared to stand on a dangerous ledge. So my advice to people is to practice flying. Watch movies that romanticize flying, Rocketeer, The Aviator, Fly Away Home. Get some modern, realistic video games about flying. You'll get back your comfort when you reassociate flying with fun. Well, that's really a good idea, Jess. That's from Jess G. But I do have to say, I'm wondering how Jess G, and Jess could be a male or a female or a they, how Jess G got from like being afraid to jumping off bridges.
That's true. I guess it's just a jump. I don't know.
It's right?
I would never do that.
How are you with heights?
Horrible. I hate heights. I'm incredibly scared of heights. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Like when I was young, and every pool had, back in the day, pools had diving boards and slides, and some pools had high dives, right?
Mm.
I could jump off a high dive. I don't think I ever dove off a high dive, but I could probably jump off something as high as 20 feet. Maybe.
Oh yeah.
Well, but that's about it. Like into the water. Could you do that?
The water. Yeah, I do a lot of that. I do a lot of like jumping in the water, like waterfalls. My hometown has a lot of that, like
oh, well,
waterfalls.
That's cool.
Yeah, and jumping off that stuff. I could do that. Like 20 feet. Yeah, I think the place I would do it 20 feet, 30 feet sometimes. 30 feet's pretty high.
Yeah, maybe 30. Yeah. Oh, I just remembered when I was a kid, there was this, I grew up in Palos Verdes, somewhere in like the late 50s, early 60s. No, maybe mid 50s. They were building this big street in my neighborhood, and they used all this dynamite, and it caused a slide. So, and that slide is still going on.
What do you mean?
Because it was a big hill, and then part of Palos Verdes Peninsula just started to slide into the ocean.
What?
So, yeah. And the slide, yeah. And at the time, my parents belonged to a beach club, and it was Portuguese Bend Beach Club. And my mom remembers, I wasn't born yet, and Cardi wasn't born yet, being by the pool, Dickie being in the pool and looking down and watching a crack form, just like in the concrete around the pool.
Real time?
She watched that crack go.
Oh
right?
My God.
Right? That beach club fell completely into the ocean. like doesn't exist anymore.
Holy crap. What?
And next to that beach club was a pier, like a functional pier. But again, because of the sliding, like 2/3 of the pier just crumbled. But we used to go to that pier, climb up, and it was a full 40 feet up.
Yeah.
And climb up like rickety. We were just climbing like we were monkeys or something up this pier, go to the end of it and jump off it.
Wow.
I look back at that, and the only reason I did it is because I was the youngest and I didn't want to look like a wimp, and it was crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. All right. Well, Just G, thank you for that. I guess start small, and then in the end, you'll be jumping into Cory's. So send us your scam letters. Follow us on Instagram at Losing It Podcast. Follow us on TikTok. Follow us on Twitter. We have a Facebook account. Please rate, review, and what's the third one? Oh, subscribe. The most important one. Rate, review, and subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your enemies. If you're watching us on YouTube, please also subscribe. Give us the thumbs up. You can leave a comment down there. You can also DM us. And if you have a Losing It story, email us at losingitcontact@gmail.com. And so I want to say a couple of things, Ronnie. Bon voyage. Have a safe trip.
Thank you.
And have a safe trip. Be safe.
Well, I hope it's safe. Yeah.
You're gonna have a fantastic trip. You're gonna have to take lots of anti-anxiety meds on that plane because I know how you are with that. And don't put them in your the baggage that you're gonna check. Come on.
I know.
Pockets full of Prozac. That's what I want you to have.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And last but not least, please don't poop in the ocean. Bye, guys.
Losing it, losing it, losing it, losing it, losing it, losing it. You came and you listened to the story. I hope so much that it didn't make you sorry, and I hope so much that you'll come back again.
Losing It, hosted by Nelsie Spencer. Produced by me, Ronnie Whaley. Theme song by Hunter Williams. Follow us online on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and all podcasting platforms at Losing It Podcast. Viewers can email Nelsie with questions or comments about life, writing, comedy, or even your own Losing It story for a chance to be on the Losing It Podcast at losingitcontact@gmail.com. For everything Nelsie and everything Losing It, visit us at nelsiespencer.com.